first one.
So when you're fishing like sheephead, like swim baits, how are you working those swim baits?
Well, sheephead are 99% of the time they're associated with like hard bottom, right? So if you find a boulder anywhere from 10 to 100 feet deep, there's more than likely a couple sheephead on it. So I fish something heavy and something streamlined, right? Like I always opt for a booty spin over like a regular paddle tail swim bait for that. Hit the bottom and you can just pop the thing, or you can do like a 1-2 and then free spool, hit it back down. So you want something that's kind of down there, pissing them off a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're looking for.
All right, cool.
And for the local area like Palos Verdes, Crystal Cove area over here, what would we do for calico fishing? Like just straight in the kelp, or even like offshore kelp patties, like kayak paddleboard fishing, or even like small boats?
So what I would do is I would bring 2 rods. So you gotta kind of, I like to simplify everything as much as I can, right? So we're talking surface fishing, or we're talking bottom fishing, right? What you wanna do is try the surface stuff. If you're not really seeing action, make 5-10 casts, instantly switch to that bottom stuff and start flipping the kelp stocks. I like to be somewhere between 30 to 60 feet of water. That's like my sweet spot for that thing, right? So 1 ounce head, 5-inch bait, 5-inch booty spin especially. That's like my favorite flipping bait. You get up in there and just keep covering water. Look at where the kelp hole is, where you can get down without getting snagged on anything. Flip in there, hit the bottom, 1, 2, 3, free spool. Hit the bottom again, 1, 2, free spool. Hit the bottom again. Do it 3 or 4 times. If you don't get bit within the first 3 or 4, odds are they're probably not going to find it. Wind in, pick another one. Do 2 or 3 paddles of the kayak and move forward a little bit. Just keep covering water. That's like the best advice I can give for that, I think.
Sounds good. So when you're fishing like the break wall and Long Beach and stuff, what's your like main kind of lures, like main setup that you're going to use for that? Like pound test, lures, rod and reel. What?
So
if you could pick any, what would it be?
Right now, I'm using a Bates Goat Swim. It's their big swim bait reel. It's a 200 size, but it has 18 pounds of drag. So for a reel of its class, it's basically the equivalent of like a 300.
Yeah.
65-pound braid. I always start with 50-pound fluorocarbon leader, about 2.5 feet long, 1 ounce head, and a 5-inch paddle tail or a booty spin. Same thing. I'm a bait fish guy. I don't like fishing the cross stuff. I don't like doing that hopping slow stuff, you know. So I'll position myself in about 40 feet of water, because the deepest point on the wall is about 50 feet, right? I don't position off of it all the way. I'll sit in like 40, 45 feet and start picking it apart, right? You want to find what depth those fish are in. So I'll flip it towards the wall in 5 feet of water, do a couple casts there. If I'm not getting bit there, I'll change my angle a little bit and flip it into 10, 20 feet in front of the boat, and then start working it to where you're parallel with the wall. And that'll tell you the depth of where those fish are mostly sitting in, and then you can work it from there and pick it apart further.
And so these calico, are they inside the kelp, or are they kind of towards the rocks at the bottom, or are they just everywhere?
Well, it depends. I mean, certain times of year, there's a lot of kelp growth on the wall. Certain, like right now, on the outside, there's not a ton of kelp. Some areas, yeah, there's some kelp, but that's another thing you got to put on your list to check off, right? Try fishing the kelp. You know, there's days where those calicos are on that kelp and they're not in the rock. But most of the time, those bigger ones, the ones that we are all trying to catch, that giant, they are wedged in a hole on the wall, just waiting. You know, they don't want to expend a bunch of energy searching for stuff. They're going to sit there and they're going to wait for the current to push something by, and then when they see your swim bait come by, they're going to swim out, grab it. First thing they're going to do is try to swim back into that hole. Which is exactly why we fish heavy. I fish a heavy rod. You set the hook on that fish and you can get them out. Once you get them like, I don't know, 10 feet off the bottom, then you can kind of relax a little bit, you know. But that's why we fish heavy, right? That's the main thing, is you want to hook the big fish. We don't care about catching them like this. We want to catch them like this. Fish something heavy, get them out of there, and win that fight, right?
And so, for like spotty guys, largemouth, stuff like that, this is a big question I had when I first started out calico fishing, was kind of, is it a lot different than like spotty and largemouth kind of in the smaller bass category, or is it kind of more or less the same?
It's pretty similar. I mean, the only thing you're really dealing with is like different pound tests. Spotties still eat 5-inch baits. Spotties eat 7-inch baits, you know, but you're downsizing a little bit, right? And you're going from kelp and rock to maybe grass and docks. All the same concepts can still kind of be applied, just minor variations, right? Instead of fishing 40 pound, we're fishing 20 pound or 15, right? And 3/8 and quarter ounce. So you can kind of have the same approach, but again, like my main thing is I try to simplify everything as much as I can. Are they in the grass? Are they in the docks? Okay, there's 2 checks off your list right there. Are they in 10 feet or are they in 15 feet? There's 2 more checks right there. You know, and you just keep working down the list, trying to figure out the bite that day.
All right, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. It was
Thanks,
really
dude,
nice
so
meeting
much,
you.
dude.
Yeah, guys.
Nice talking to you, dude.
Yeah, it was
Thank
Hopefully
fun.
we can see you
Thanks so much
again.
for coming by.
Have a good
Hopefully we'll see
day.
you out there, dude. Bye.